Lately, there has been a lot of hype surrounding Max Verstappen and his impressive skills on the track. Discussions have erupted regarding who is the better driver at Red Bull, Max or Vettel. Some comments claim that just a few years ago, Max could never have reached Vettel's level, as Vettel was considered to be on a whole different playing field. However, opinions have shifted dramatically, with many now asserting that nobody surpasses Max's abilities, and comparing him to Vettel would be an insult. It's undeniable that Max Verstappen has shown unprecedented dominance in the past 2 seasons, and it seems likely that we will witness similar performances from him this year. Nevertheless, I believe that we should not underestimate Vettel's achievements during his time at Red Bull when comparing him to Max. Max's dominance is a recent development, and it is important to consider Vettel's track record. After watching this video, you will gain insight into Sebastian Vettel's performances during his Red Bull years, learn about the opinions of Formula 1 fans and other drivers, and discover why, in my opinion, Vettel surpasses Max in skills. Years in which Sebastian Vettel has been champion, we can actually say that this dominance certainly doesn't look boring. Think about this. Vettel won the years 2010 and 2012 for a total of 7 points, and remember, 6th place is worth 8 points. If there had been a small mistake or mechanical failure in those 2 years, we could have been talking about Fernando Alonso's 4 titles and whether Vettel could catch him. Only in 2013 did we see a season that we could really describe as boring, and in all the rest of the seasons, Sebastian Vettel was in competition. And yet there were a lot of big names like Toto Wolff, Lemmy Hamilton, and even Jenson Button talking about Sebastian Vettel's dominance being the most boring dominance ever. In fact, it was all about Vettel's driving style. If you look at the races Vettel has won with Red Bull, you might notice something. Vettel starts from pole position and finishes the race without seeing a car in front of him. It's like he's racing alone, and nobody wants to see that. In the Red Bull era, when Vettel took pole position, you could easily say he was going to win. And that's exactly what made Vettel's dominance boring. Another reason was Vettel's character, which was glaring at the time. Sebastian Vettel was to Formula 1 what Conor McGregor was to the UFC at the time. This made Formula 1 fans and even drivers hate him. He was booed at Monza for beating Alonso in the Ferrari, yes, but then why was he booed in Belgium, England, Canada, and Australia? The booing of Sebastian Vettel is one of those things that can't be dismissed with such a simple explanation. There are bigger issues at the heart of the hatred of Sebastian Vettel that was circulating in Formula 1 at the time. Sport is all about competition, the excitement that comes with unpredictability. When one person dominates a sport, it becomes less enjoyable for others, and they are more likely to turn away from it rather than participate. Would people have an interest in watching the Premier League if one team won every single game? The answer is no, they wouldn't. Now we can observe that Max and Vettel are facing similar criticisms. However, it is important to note that Vettel has achieved his success in far more challenging circumstances. During his prime, he was up against tough competitors such as Schumacher, Alonso, Hamilton, Button, and many other outstanding drivers. These drivers, though exceptional in their own right, cannot compare to the ones we have in Formula 1 today. Naturally, feel free to come and inform me about Sherlock Larkin's greatness, but it's important to realize that you weren't watching those guys during that time. And yes, Sebastian Vettel's car was indeed the fastest car on the grid. However, the gap between his car and the others was never as significant as the gap between Max Verstappen's car and the rest. It's unfair to compare these two individuals. What people fail to understand is that when Sebastian Vettel achieved all these remarkable things, he was being compared to just one man. Michael himself even acknowledged that Sebastian Vettel was the only one capable of surpassing his records. In the 2010s, if you're being compared to Michael Schumacher while still in your 20s, that should certainly be enough to establish you as the best Red Bull driver.